Welcome to the fray, bro. Let me give you something I want you to start using, because this is what you truly are. You are a returning citizen. I told you last night that what we did was we was playing the game, didn't play by the rules, and society said, you know what? We kicking you out. Remember how your mama used to say, boy, put it up, play right, or put it up, right? Mm-hmm. And if you didn't play right, right? So that's all this is. You got kicked out of society because you wasn't playing fair. You wasn't playing fair. Somebody caught you finally, like your brother said. I know I did a whole bunch of stuff before I finally got caught. But when they caught me, they kicked me out of society. But this is the term I want you to start using. And the reason why I want you to start using returning citizen instead of ex-con, because you're not. Or felon, because you're not. Every time you tell yourself that, you trigger what in your mind? We talked about the thought process.
Negative.
Let's go back to negative self-talk. The first step of the conscious is to perceive. The next step of the conscious is to what?
Believe.
Huh?
Believe.
Protect.
Associate.
Associate. We first perceive through our senses. Like I told you with the baby, we want to stick stuff in our mouth and we want to, do this and do that, touch. When that baby first crawls up to that stove and touch it,
hot.
How they gonna say? They don't know what's hot. You can turn that stove off after that baby touch it, and I guarantee you that baby with that stove off is not gonna go to that stove no more. Unless he like Puff Daddy, he gonna do what he want to do. Anyway, you can see that, right? So that first step, after we perceive, and we do what again?
Associate.
Associate. And what does that mean? Where have I seen this before? Where have I heard this before? Where have I touched this before? Where have I tasted this before? And every time you mention that word ex-con out your mouth, and your perception will become your reality. And that's what you'll always be. You'll be walking around with your own self, carrying it with you. Yard in, yard in, yard in, all the time. Even when you go to this employer to go get a job, you will be carrying that ex-con all on your forehead. Nobody else see it but you. Nobody else know it but you. But at the moment you walk in, you already disqualified yourself from the job and the opportunity. The first mention of that word ex-con or felon, I can see the confidence in you switch just by saying the word now. That guilt and that shame will eat you alive if you let it. You are now, from this day on, a returning citizen. Your debt to society is now about to be paid. Taxpayers paid for your debt to society while you was locked up. Unless you was a super baller and you had that big account and they started charging you rent. And even then, you still didn't pay your debt. You don't pay your debt to society in there. All you do is, that's your punishment. It's like when Daddy said, lay down on this bed and take this whooping. If you move, you get an extra one. Some of us got some extra ones. I know I had a flop. That was an extra one. I moved. I was told not to move, and I moved. Or all those times I caught those major tickets, or those minor tickets, right? I was moving. I should have been laying down, taking my whooping. I did what I did. I didn't make a mistake. I didn't slip, trip, and fall on cocaine. I made the choice to do it. I chose this as my life because I told you before, we act and we act and we behave not according to the truth, but the truth as we believe it to be. In the society in which you lived in and you came up in, it doesn't matter what people say on the outside of where the community you grew up in. If, like when you became a doctor, was any of this stuff on your mind? Drugs, 6 seconds we talked about yesterday, all of this stuff. You probably grew up in a nice home and support and, you know, none of this even crossed your mind. None of this, but you still cross the same path that everybody else in. So none of us are any different, but sometimes it's the way we're perceived. And negative self-talk is not just what you say to yourself. Every time you turn that TV on and you look at the news, what does it show you? Another one of us being laid off. You see you on the screen. So what does it say to you? When we watch different shows, I asked my son, he likes the Cosby Show, right? No, it's not the Cosby Show, it's the Fresh Prince. Now, he liked Fresh Prince. I don't understand why he don't like Carlton. I don't understand. Fresh Prince is goofy, bad grades, dressed sloppy, always in trouble. Carlton, good grades, dressed nice, right? And matter of fact, it's his daddy that got the money. Right? So why is it that we have this fascination? Or why is it that my son had this fascination with the Fresh Prince and thought Carlton was a lame? Now we talked about a little bit yesterday about them lames, right? Them the ones that we got to go get jobs from now, right?
Right.
Them guys that we going like, oh, like look, the guy I got you going to see tomorrow, Rob Bradley.
Right.
That was my guy, but he was a lame then. I was the one that was in trouble. Matter of fact, I used to protect him. Now when you see him tomorrow, you're going to be like, see this big old dude, and you're going to wonder how me, little old me, protected him. But that's how he became endeared to me, because I made sure cats wouldn't mess with him. You know what I mean? Now, he's a general manager over at Bally's, doing his thing. You know? And at the time, he dressed funny, didn't have clothes, you know, whatever, right? He was a lame, though. What is a lame, really? Come on now. What's a lame?
What, your definition of?
No, what's your definition of a lame? Because I know my definition of a lame.
Well, I would consider what you're talking about as somebody that we would, in my time, was called a nerd. Or
a nerd. And what's a nerd?
It's somebody that usually is more intellectual in this.
Intellectual. That's not a bad thing to be, is it? What else? Come on, Puff Daddy. What's a lame? We done gave him a new name. What's a lame?
Someone who's doing what they're supposed to do. Someone that's doing what they're supposed to do. Somebody follows rules.
Somebody that follows rules.
Someone who's being successful, going to class, doing what they're supposed to do.
So in the joint though, right? In the joint, a lame, what's his life expectancy? What's real short, right? Unless he hook up with somebody that's gonna take care of him, right? Could possibly be. But why do you think we prey on people like that, though? Why do you think we prey on people who are doing the right thing, that are intellectuals, that make the right choices?
We perceive them as weak and not playing the game.
We perceive them as weak
because they're not playing the game we're playing.
Do you think that it's possible that you might be envious? When I told you yesterday, I want you to help me out with something. Whatever I say, I want you to give me the opposite to it. Right? Up.
Down.
White.
Black.
Man.
Woman.
Wrong.
Right.
Woman. Man. Wrong. The opposite of a man is a boy. The opposite of a woman is a girl. If you're opposite to me, you're not equal with me. Right? A lot of us deal from the position of maleness. We have yet to step into the shoes of being a man. So when we see something that we recognize that might potentially be that, it causes anger in us sometimes. Because we know inside of all of us is a reticulated activating system that makes us, forces us to identify. Nobody can hold two different ideas and be in harmony with yourself. You can't have two conflicting ideas and be in harmony with yourself. So what do? You got to drown one of them out. And every